Hola, ciao, ni hao, konnichiwa, shalom, salam, and hello. So nice to have you all here. You all know my name by now. It's kind of in the title. But hey, it's Alex, just in case you can't see it. Thank you so much for being here with me. And I want to share a journey that I've had over the past year with you. So enjoy this video and let's chat later in the comments. So I've been having way too much fun on this streaming service called Heygo. It's a live streaming, experience, travel tool, virtual touring platform in which people from all over the world, entertainers, guides, streamers, whoever they are, from wherever they are, get to show the world their country, their culture, get to teach people about their rituals and about hidden gems within their communities and cities. And it's just been such a blessing for a lot of people during the tough times of our global pandemic when people were stuck in lockdown. And I got into it and I spent that time streaming my city, Melbourne, to everyone around the world. And over time, I not only built a big community of voyagers who have come to appreciate my country and the content I have shown them, but I've also had the pleasure and the privilege of experiencing so many different things in Australia. Now, I just want to touch through on only some of the experiences that I have been lucky enough to be a part of, not just in my city, Melbourne, but this platform, Heygo, has enabled me to travel all over, parts of the countries and show voyagers from all over the world, people who love traveling, but at this point aren't able to or are planning on to, but need ideas on where to go. And I have been showing them live different things. So over time, I've done probably about 400 plus streams. And not only streams, I've also done meditations as well, because I'm a qualified and certified meditation instructor. And I just want to touch with you some of the most unique experiences that have stood out for me, okay? So let's get started with the first experience. The first experience was when I was showing people my city in Melbourne, and I came across a sculpture, and it was a very interesting, obscure looking sculpture. I couldn't figure out what it was initially. Turns out it was called a UU. Now, a UU is a made-up name. It's spelled U-O-O-U-O-O. And it's a mythical creature that was invented by a gentleman by the name of Alexander Knox. He's an artist. And they created 100 of these sculptures and spread them all over Melbourne last year in 2021 around March, April period, and February, March, April. And the money, people would build a connection to the UUs. And after the whole experience, they would auction the UUs out. And the proceeds would go to the Royal Children's Hospital. So it was just such an amazing experience. And what I did was I encountered one of those UUs, and then we created a UU series, and I would show my voyagers on Heygo. The UUs will on Heygo, you can actually capture postcards as well. So we capture postcards from different angles. But what really struck me about this experience was that it brought the community together. It brought us together. It helped us learn more about Melbourne as a city and about a lot of the problems that the hospital was faced with. It helped us connect with each other on a deeper level, share our experiences, share our problems and our struggles. But it also brought together this whole element of, community. We came together. We together, through these UUs, built a community. And to me, that was the start of my journey as a virtual live streamer. And at the end of the UU journey, we obviously got to experience almost 100 different sculptures, and each of them had their unique design, which told a story of either of Australia or of the artist's personal experience. And, we came together, we attended the auction, and we even managed to raise over $450 in honor of these creatures that went to the Royal Children's Hospital. So that was an amazing experience. That was my first really, truly unique experience with Heygo. The next experience that really stands out to me, now I'm going to go through good and bad. But that was another very positive experience. It was the 12 Apostles. We've had a few encounters at the 12 Apostles during sunset and sunrise, but the most memorable experience for me whilst attending the 12 Apostles with my community of voyagers and followers was when we experienced it during sunset. And not only did we get to bask in the beauty and the glory of nature, but we also got to appreciate the 12 Apostles and from a different perspective and just enjoy the most unique sunset many of us have ever seen, in the sense that the sunset changed colors along the way. And there were all these different colors that were happening during the sunset. And during that time, we were playing very touching music. And it was just such an incredible experience. We got to talk about experiencing awe when encountering, incredible monuments of nature and landmarks of nature. And we got to talk about the 12 apostles and about the Great Ocean Road and share our experiences. But mostly it was just a spiritual experience, which brought us again closer and had some of us in tears. The next unusual experience I had personally as a streamer on Heygo was my 4-hour marathon. Yes, you've heard it right. I decided to break the live streaming world record and live stream my city, Melbourne, for 4 hours. So I set it up. We went on a 4-hour journey and we explored so much. We explored inside an Aboriginal art gallery. We explored inside St. Patrick's Catholic Church, which is one of Melbourne's most beautiful churches. We got to explore a lot for 4 hours. And let me tell you something, that was an exhausting experience, yet it was rewarding. I had in total 500 people come together and watch this experience, and I could not have appreciated their support more. By the end of it, I was knackered, but it was an experience I'll never forget. My next experience involved a road trip up the east coast of Australia, and part of that involved attending a city called Port Macquarie. Port Macquarie is known as the koala capital of Australia because it has so many koalas in it, and they also put in so much effort into conserving the koala population. They have a koala hospital, which, by the way, was one of the most memorable experiences of my road trip. We all came together. It was both heart-melting and heartbreaking to see those koalas, having been rescued, but some of them cannot be sent back to the wild because they either have chlamydia or they're blind or whatever it is, injured. One of them had no claws. So it was just heartwarming to see how the koala hospital dedicated so much energy and effort and resources into keeping these koalas alive. And it's, again, heartbreaking because you get to learn about their sad stories. Another experience that I will never forget on my road trip to Port Macquarie was the Hello Koalas sculpture trail. That was just an incredible experience. It is a sculpture trail put together by the director of the Hello Koalas, Margaret Ma, who has become a friend of mine over time, and she has generously decided to take us in and show us into her world and teach us more about the Hello Koalas. So that was to me such an incredible journey because there are more than 80 Hello Koalas, and we, each of them tells a story, just like the UUs did, and each of them also is set to educate us not only about koala conservation, because the more educated we are about the conservation of koalas, the more effort we'll put into helping preserve the koala population. But they also tell stories about Australia and about the Australian culture. At the end of this whole experience, we actually got to experience the unveiling of the big koala a few months ago. And Margaret obviously sent us me and the hundreds of people on the live stream who joined me, an exclusive invitation. So that was just an amazing experience that I was so proud to be a part of. We not only got to witness the unveiling of the big koala, but we got to also just enjoy a show. There was an Aboriginal show. There was a gentleman playing the guitar. They had a reptile show. There was a lot of fun. They had this beautiful park that unfortunately I couldn't take my voyagers to experience, but it was a lot of fun. So that was one of the major highlights of my road trip. Let's mix it up a little bit. I want to talk now a little bit about a couple of experiences that were not necessarily the best experiences, okay? Now I'll start with Nimbin. Nimbin is a village, in Australia, in northern New South Wales, and it's known as a hippie village. It began it actually began as a village following a music festival, a giant music festival, and a lot of people stayed there and established their own village. It has the cannabis embassy is there, and a lot of the people that live there are very, very, very pro cannabis advocates, and it's basically your stereotypical hippie village. The one thing I didn't like about it is that I did feel a little like, judged when I was in the village. I felt like people were looking at me weird. And at one point, some guys threatened me with violence because they thought I was an undercover cop for some reason. Like as though an undercover cop would walk around with a gimbal and a phone and a microphone and just walk around very unsubtly. But that's what they thought I was. It was a little uncomfortable when they did that, though we did meet some very interesting people.
Where are you from?
I'm from Melbourne.
Oh,
yeah.
far out.
So we just decided I just decided to embark on a bit of a road trip. And
Nimbin was a very interesting experience. It was both pleasant and at the same time a little uncomfortable. But I wouldn't change it for the world. It was we all had an amazing time. We met some fascinating characters. Now, while we're on this topic of actually being in northern New South Wales, at one point I decided throughout my road trip to go kayaking with dolphins. Now, on paper, that sounds like an amazing experience. We were all excited, my voyagers. We call them the Tramily, my community that we have over 1,000 people in the community. We're a Tramily, travel family. And we decided to come together and go kayaking with dolphins. The problem with that was I didn't take into account that in Byron Bay, which is a city where we were going to do it from, the waves on that day were a little bit high. So we got dumped by a big wave as we were just entering the ocean. My camera, my gimbal, everything fell into the water, and then I lost basically my whole set, my whole kit. That said, the show, as they say, the show must go on. I stayed on the kayak. We headed there, kept enjoying we didn't spot any dolphins. We spotted a couple of sea turtles. But what really warmed my heart is that my community of voyagers actually did contact the Kayaking with Dolphins company, and they did inquire about my well-being. And I found that that was a very touching moment for me. And even the guide who was there with me mentioned to me that he was like, wow, that's incredible how loving your community is and how supportive they are. So I've got to say that was a very, very touching experience, and I really appreciated that. Let's switch back to a couple of positive ones now, okay? The next one I want to quickly talk about was I took my voyagers, my followers, and there was almost 1,000 of us live. We went flying over the Great Barrier Reef while I was in Cairns. Now, that was an experience I'll never forget, no matter what. Flying over the Great Barrier Reef, one of the wonders of the world, and just experiencing this incredible phenomena was something that I can't even explain to you in words. Great Barrier Reef, whilst is obviously ideally experienced while you're snorkeling, there is nothing like actually being atop the reef and witnessing it and its patterns and its islands from atop. What was really surprised me is that we actually had signal for most of the time, and just to witness how much of a positive impact it had on my viewers. Again, I had almost 1,000 people in total watching it. In total, so some dropped off and out, but in total there were almost 1,000. And it was just such an unforgettable experience. And that's an experience I'll never forget. The next experience happened as it was a surprise stream. So I didn't really tell my voyagers what was coming ahead of them. And we had 250, 300 on that stream. And it was attending the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne. The Shrine of Remembrance is probably one of the most, I'd say spiritual, but also one of the most impactful and meaningful monuments in Melbourne. It's beautiful, and it is a shrine to commemorate those who have fought in wars, in any war, who have represented our army of Australia, and those who are from Victoria who perished in those wars. In that time, we talked about the different wars that Australia has engaged in, and a lot of my voyagers and viewers shared their own personal experiences and their own families' experiences with war. And it was a very touching moment. And I'm going to be honest with you, at one point I honestly felt like I was going to cry, because I've had experiences in my family where my grandfather fought in the Navy, against the Nazis, and we all shared those experiences, and it was a very touching experience for me personally. So I am planning on doing it again. So if you're watching this and you want to witness it live with me, just join my channel, follow it, and you'll find it eventually. It'll pop up on my feed. Okay, so we have 2 more experiences. Let's do another not so pleasant one, and then we'll finish with a very pleasant experience. Okay. So the one I want to talk about is I decided to go whale spotting with my voyagers, my Tramily, and I think I had about 400 live on that one, and I was prepared, I was excited myself at the time. I have never seen a whale live before, and it's always been a dream of mine. So when I got up really early, prepared my gimbal, my phone, I was preparing for something that will change our lives. What I did not anticipate was that I am actually prone to seasickness. So during the tour, as we began the tour, I started feeling a little bit funny. Actually, I started feeling funny half an hour into as we were on the boat, heading into where the whales are. And but when I began to stream, it was game over. There was no looking back. I was sick. The seasickness had taken over me. And the most embarrassing thing about that is that live on camera, it was not pleasant. It resulted in a lot of complaints, a lot of bad reviews. Needless to say, we did not spot whales, but we did spot another side of me, which is the side that can experience seasickness. Anyway, it was an experience, and I feel like in many ways, if I am to draw a positive from it, it did bring us back it brought us together, and it touched my heart to see how so many of the voyagers of the Tramily, encouraged me and made me feel a lot better with their rhetoric. So that was a very positive, even though there were some very hurtful reviews of people who were not happy with not only the fact that I vomited on camera, but with the fact that I didn't spot any whales. Most of them, 90% of the people, were so supportive, and that honestly was very touching for me. So yeah, that is a personal thank you to the community and something positive to draw from it. The last experience I want to share with you was an experience that I thought would, in my opinion, I think it is a worldwide first, was a choose your own adventure. We went to the Australian bush, and I always used to love choose your own adventure books as a child. I used to write my own little short ones as a kid with my friends. As you can tell, I was a bit of a nerd when I was a kid. No, but I really enjoyed them as a kid, reading them a lot. And I thought, let's just do a choose your own adventure live. So I set up a separate platform in which I presented options to the viewers. I think we had about 200 viewers live for that one. And we went on, and I presented options. Found myself, it was cold, it was, I think, winter, dipping my toes into the Yarra River, jumping around like a kangaroo, basically making a fool of myself, but only at the request of those who were part of it, because it was their adventure and I was merely the avatar. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. It was exciting, and I'm looking forward to the next one, which I'll be doing live again on camera, which will be Choose Your Own Adventure Australian Ghost Town. That will be interesting, but I'm still trying to muster the courage to go ahead and do that, because I am a little bit of a scaredy cat. A special mention goes to ghost hunting, since we're on it. I really enjoy ghost hunting. I've got a little ghost detector, ghost meter, EMF, whatever you want to call it. And at one point, in a couple of points in time, we actually have spotted ghosts. So that was eerie. I know a lot of you don't believe in ghosts, and that's perfectly understandable. A lot of people don't. But there was an eerie feeling to some of those tours. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this. Let me know in the comments which one sounds like it would have been the most that you would have enjoyed. And if you were one of the people who enjoyed my tours, let me know which one you actually preferred out of the 10. The good and the bad, because you may have also enjoyed the bad ones. You may have also enjoyed seeing me, just basically not have the best experience. That's fine too. I mean, it's all part of it, right? So thanks for joining this. I really enjoyed sharing those 10 moments. Live streaming has been an absolute incredible experience in general. I've learned so much. I've learned how to present myself a lot better, and I've learned more about my country and city. And I've also learned about how important it is to have a community in your life. We have built one of the most amazing communities known to mankind. Okay, now I'm exaggerating, but it is one of the most beautiful communities I've known. It's called the Tramily, travel family, and it's in a group called Alexander Down Under. So I'll leave the link in the YouTube comments if you want to be part of the group. Feel free to join it. Either way, I'll see you in my travels. I'll see you in my live streams. Love you guys, appreciate you guys, and we've got so much more to cover in months to come. Take care.